Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. It will be about 45 or about 30 to 45 minutes long, depending on the questions we might get. My name is Corey Elliott. I am the Executive Vice President of Research at Burrell Associates, and with me, I'm going to actually kick it over to, as soon as the slide moves, Bob Brown. There you go. Take it
Thanks.
away, Bob.
Thank you, Corey, and I'd like to welcome everybody to today's session on basically we're calling it marketing in crisis, but it's we'll learn as we get into this. It's really more what is it that we should be communicating to our customers, and we're really very pleased that we've got the team from Burrell and Associates. Right at this moment, Gordon Burrell, the CEO, is still trying to dial in, but his capable team will carry us forward. Jim Brown, president of Burrell and Associates, will take Gordon's position for a moment, but I want to let you know that Burrell and Associates is the leader in the country when it comes to small and medium business advertising with regard to what the trends are, what strategies are, and they've been a longtime partner of Swift Communications, which include the Summit Daily News, the Post Independent, the Sky High News, Steamboat Pilot, and Today, the Vail Daily, and the Aspen Times. So we're here to hopefully share some ideas, let you know that we're here to support our business community, and look forward to any questions you may have. Jim, if you could take it, or it looks like I see Gordon is online. So Gordon, you want to take it away?
Gordon, are you there? Nope, he's not there, so I'm going to jump right in, Bob. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for spending a few minutes with us today. Look, I think there's great opportunity for you. And so what we want to do is give you some forward-thinking information, help you think about your opportunity.
Hey, Jim, I've joined.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Gordon.
I'm sorry. I've been talking into the microphone. You should go back to that picture of me because I love looking at the picture of me.
Now let's forward.
I'm here. I'm sorry. Through the wonders of technology and the weirdness of everything that's going on today, I made it. But thank you, and thanks very much, Bob and the folks at Swift. I really do appreciate the opportunity to be able to bring this message to advertisers and all that Swift is doing. I'm just going to give a quick overview and talk a little bit about the big picture. We are really happy that you are here today because there is an incredibly positive message and a great opportunity, but only if you see it that way. There are lots of others that are flat-footed and they're thinking negatively and they're worried and they're hand-wringing and they're not on this call. And it's a great opportunity to go out there and be competitive. You're going to hear from Corey Elliott, the effect at the local level. We've got some great research for you that I think would be really helpful and kind of soothing to help you kind of understand where things are. And then Jim is going to talk about promotions and the role of promotions and some advice that we have for you today. So on the overview of what's happening, what we can see is that small businesses are getting this advice from the Small Business Administration. Lots of stuff on loan resources and new policy changes and things. But look at this. They're talking about marketing. And we're going to talk about this today. The SBA is saying it's critical to communicate with your advertisers or your customers, about the status of your operations, blah, blah, blah. You know that, right? But look at this. Promotions may also help incentivize customers. So yeah, communicate with your customers and tell them what's going on. But the purpose of this webinar is to tell you there is a big opportunity to begin to promote yourself and bring customers in the door and to help these folks continue buying from you. So that is a great message, and it goes back 100 years. 100 years ago, the same thing was happening with Post and Kellogg. It's one of my favorite articles from the New Yorker about 10 years ago. The big cereal of the day when the Depression hit was Post, and they were advertising in the new medium. They were not advertising in the new medium of the day, which was radio. They were just staying with their old traditional methods, and they were going, wow, okay, we better cut back on advertising. Kellogg, meanwhile, said, oh, no, this is a time to really expand and grow and take market share. People are still eating cereal. People are still buying jewelry. People are still doing landscaping. They're still going out to eat. They're still doing all these things. You'll see that in a moment. And Kellogg said, we're going to take advantage. And so they did. By 1933, the economy had cratered. Kellogg's profits had risen almost 30% and it had become what it remains today, a dominant player. That is your opportunity. It's not just 100 years ago. You can see it during 9/11. GM took a page from that book and said, okay, we're going to launch a campaign. People are still wanting to buy cars, and we're going to drop the interest rate and keep America rolling again. Within 3 short months in 2001, they had 1 million unit sales. So if you're a car dealer, you have probably heard this because all car dealers are getting this message right now. Oh no, this is time to really continue to drive things and to move things along. What a great time to have that attitude, that positive attitude, and say, this is a time for me to really, really excel. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Corey. Corey's going to tell you some of the research that we've been looking at and some of the data. It's going to help you understand where colleagues and peers like you are, how they kind of came into this crisis and what they were viewing. I'm sure a lot of you will relate to this. And then what we think the opportunity is as we begin to see this massive traffic sort of move toward the web and news sites and newspapers and anybody with media channels, and how you can kind of harness that. Corey?
Great, thanks, Gordon. And this is the picture we should really focus on. But anyway, what I'm going to show you is at Burrell Associates, what we do is try and put our ear to the main street and understand what local businesses like yourselves are doing as far as marketing and advertising goes, and how you look at the world. So what I'm going to show you is some results from some surveys we did of local advertisers, and you can agree or not agree. It's a great kind of barometer to understand, do you feel the same way? Are you different? How different? So let's get into it. We do a panel. We have a small few hundred local advertisers on a panel. We ask them questions every month. And every 3 months, we ask them the same 4 questions about what's it like to run a business and for the past 6 months? Is it harder or easier? And what you're seeing here are the answers from December 2018 and December 2019. Okay, so everything, if you look at these 4 answers, everything was getting better, at least the perception was. Have things gotten better? 39% of our advertisers, our local businesses said, yeah, it's been getting better. In December of 2019, is the current economic climate excellent to be a small business? 18% said yes, as opposed to 5% a year before. What will the next 6 months bring? So we're looking forward to 2020. 12% said better. That's up from 9%. And then, will you be spending more in advertising? 32% said.
Chris PC.
32% said, yeah, I'll be spending more in advertising this year. So things were looking good back in December as far as the local advertisers we know of. Well, what happened? This is a survey result from the NFIB. They're the National Federation of Independent Businesses. They asked their own members back on March 10th, so just 2 weeks ago. We're flashing forward to 2 weeks ago. They asked, are you concerned about the coronavirus impacting your business? 44% said they were concerned. Now, you got to put yourself back 2 weeks ago, March 10th and 11th. Where would you have been on this continuum? Very concerned, somewhat concerned. Almost half were at least somewhat, if not very concerned. They asked, how will the coronavirus impact your business, whether negatively or positively? 43% at that point said it's going to negatively impact it. I already know. And another 37% said they weren't sure. Put those together, you got 80% out there that it's a weird time. Don't know what's going to happen. Then, of the businesses that were already negatively impacted by the 10th and 11th, they already said, yeah, I'm being negatively impacted. 39% of them were experiencing supply chain disruptions, 42% experiencing slower sales, and 4% had sick employees, or at least somebody they were concerned about in their employment, who could be, maybe not be diagnosed, but at least sick. These were some of the things that were on their minds and that were negatively impacting things. So, what actions back then were you taking as a result? 52% of local businesses and from the NFIB said no measurable steps. They admitted they aren't taking any measurable steps. Down to, on that other side, 3% said they're modifying their supply chains. From that 39% who said supply chains are disrupted, you had 3% who say, okay, I'm going to do something about it, or I'm going to try my best to modify that supply chain to help myself out. So this is what we know about local advertisers or local businesses in a community when it comes to advertising. We do a survey every year. We get a few thousand local businesses who answer this survey. It's all about marketing and their feelings towards marketing and what works and what doesn't. Here are some of really interesting results that kind of give an overview of where a local business is in their head when it comes to marketing. 50% agree with Wanamaker. Who's John Wanamaker? He was a retailer way back when, and he's the one who famously said, half my advertising works. The trouble is, I don't know which half. Well, half of local businesses also believe that. 48%, according to the survey we did, had no strategy for setting an ad budget. We explicitly asked, what do you use? How do you set your ad budget? 48% said I don't know. 58% were unsure if they're spending the right amount. We asked, are you overspending, underspending? What do you think? What's your gut say? 58% were unsure. They thought they were either overspending, underspending, or they just didn't know. And we have a lot of open-ended questions that we get a lot of opinions from local businesses like yourself. And I get to read through all these, and it's fascinating stuff because I'm picking up the sense that more and more businesses, if not all, are trying to handle marketing on their own. They're trying to piece this together themselves. They're not relying on any one. They want it. It's there. It's something they desire, but they're still trying to piece together a marketing plan by themselves. Nielsen, let's talk a little bit about consumerism now. What's happening and we're all consumers too. Nielsen, they're a big outfit that monitors, I'm sure you know, media and media consumption. They noted when they looked back at their own records, they understood that media consumption goes up during a time when you ask consumers to stay at home. Think of hurricanes or anything like the wildfires or anything that causes people to stay at home. Well, media consumption goes up. That's kind of a no-brainer, but they see as nearly as much as 60%, and that's consumption all across the board. If we were to look at specific, here's a line from ComScore that records visits to local news sites. And here's an aggregate of about 40 selected news sites, a lot of them being driven by newspapers, but local. You see a jump of 33% in 2 weeks from 392 million visits up to 523 million. What does that mean? There's engagement, right? There's consumers need to know, people want to know what the heck is going on in their own backyard, and what better place to understand some of that. Here's another slide from ComScore that shows overall consumption of local TV news. And this is by, as you can see, the top 25 metros. The big one there being Seattle, up 28% year over year. These are households tuning into local TV news. So there's a big uptick here in wanting to consume that local news to understand what's going on. So you've got more people watching, reading more things. So here is, and I'm sure you guys are all aware of this, and I'm just hammering the fact home about, what's protected right now. Seems like every state government and even some municipalities are coming out with their own essential list. This one happens to be from the Bay Area. This is the list. They were one of the first ones to come out with a list. But as I look through all these lists, they're pretty much the same. There are going to be some that make a whole lot of sense, like healthcare operations and grocers. But then there are other ones that I don't want to say sneak in here, but I didn't think of right off the top of my head, but like laundry services. Basically, what you have here is anything that can keep other businesses going, especially people who are working from home. What do we need to do to keep people working? That's why office supply stores are on some essential lists, because we need to keep people working. Now, who's in trouble? It's anybody if you're in one of these fields, you know this. It doesn't mean you're down and out. It just means It's a little bit more challenging. It's any business that requires a large group of people to be together to drive the business. Think nightclubs, movie theaters, hotels, museums, casinos. You get the idea. It doesn't mean these guys are down and out, but they might have to switch their form of not their form of communication, but what they're communicating. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So what we see is that there are three buckets of businesses right now, and it's kind of fluid. There's the essential businesses. We kind of went over that list. It's going to be a little bit varied depending on where you are. There's the at-risk businesses, and maybe that's an inappropriate term, at risk, just the challenged businesses, the museums, the physical fitness facilities, things like sports clubs, things like that. And then there are ones that are kind of in limbo. Some, depending on where you are being asked to close their doors, but then there are some that are, still open, and it can go either way. Auto sales, if you're an auto dealer out there, I just read a story about in Albuquerque, I think, in LA, auto dealers are driving new cars to people rather than having people come into the dealership. So there's some creative ways that different business segments are tackling all of this.
Yeah, Corey, if I could jump in just a second. We've colored these for you green, red, and blue, but they probably shouldn't be colored that way because you would think, oh, essential green, that's great. The rest, oh, depressing. But it depends on how you look at each of these. I would say that the messages are a bit different for essential. So the messages should be, we're thanking the community. We've had overwhelming response. We're run out of these, but we'll get them next week. So the messaging is a bit different. For the at-risk companies, okay, you're going to have to try to find creative ways to get people to come in. I'll give you one, and Jim Brown will talk about them in a moment, but you can't look at the at-risk ones and the ones in limbo and say, oh, we better not be advertising at the moment. No, you have to really be advertising and think about things differently. So I guess one of the ones that I wanted to mention was this morning, my landscaping guy, I called and said, can we get some mulch? And he mentioned that he had a huge backup because everybody who's working from home has been thinking of the same thing, spreading mulch, in the afternoon, getting out of the house a little bit. So think about that. They're creative messages for people at home that they're doing certain things right now. Jim will give you one about a gymnasium or a spa, and another one about jewelry stores. So it really depends on how creative you can be with your messaging. Corey?
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. We did a new survey that remember that one I showed you that had the 4 economic questions. Well, we just released it to our panel over the weekend on Friday. Still getting results in, and we added some questions here too. So think about how you would answer some of these questions, and I'll show you the results of 2 of these questions right now. Again, this is gauge where you're at against peers. So one of the questions I want to go over is, how long do you anticipate the impact on your business will last? So choose your answer. Here's what the panel was saying. 26% said 3 to 4 months. Another 17% said 1 to 2. That together, that's 43% saying it's somewhere between 1 and 4 months. That's how long I anticipate the impact on my business will last. The other one I want to show you is this. We asked, as of today, have restrictions, and today was anytime between Friday and today, so real recent. As of today, have restrictions been put in place in your local area that will make it harder for your customers to do business with you? 63% of the S&P panel said, yep, sure has. Another 22% said not yet, but it will soon. So already it's in the vast majority, 85% of local businesses are impacted. They're going to have to change, at least in the short term, what they do and what they say. But it's not all bleak, because we found this from IBIS World. This is a projection of consumer spending and consumer confidence and what they see going on. They monitor the thousands of different business segments and report on them. This is what they're seeing right now. I hope you can see my mouse. They're seeing a downturn in consumer confidence, going to go down it's going to hit a low in the last part of 2020 into 2021. Not as low as it was in 2008 right now, because it's a different kind of crisis. We all know that. Here's definitely economic crisis. Here, it's a health crisis that's driving the economy. They still see the consumer spending going up. Now, it might be shifting more to online purchases, but they don't see a corresponding dip in consumer spending. So I just wanted to share that. That was fresh, hot off the press for
And
everybody.
Corey, that's a fascinating slide. Focus on that blue line, consumer spending, and that circle area up top. Consumer spending up. It is up. Think about your own habits. You've been buying more in the past couple of weeks. Maybe my household have. Of course, toilet paper. I don't know. We went in the grocery store over the weekend and all the chicken was gone. Why do people need more chicken right now? Some guy down at the end heard me say something about it, and he said, yeah, and the bacon too. Why are people eating more bacon? There's none left. And the mulch example. So people are still buying stuff. It's the mood has declined, but they're still buying. And you've got to find creative ways to tell people to come to your business, and to that you're supporting the community. Find ways to help the community. It is just such a great time to do that. One of the questions, and I'm going to ask Jim Brown to join in a moment. One of the questions that we've asked local businesses, our expertise is to understand what local businesses, folks like you, are doing with their advertising and marketing expenditures, how much they spend in radio and how that changes, how much they spend in TV, how much they're spending in social media and search marketing, and their attitudes and things like that. One of the key questions that we asked, and it's important, Jim will go over this, is what can local media companies, like Swift Communications, for instance, what can local media companies do for you right now? And why we think that's important, as Corey showed you just a little bit earlier, is that we see that advertisers have gotten confused, as Corey showed you a little bit about what they should be spending, and that they're taking a lot of stuff on their own. You may be doing that yourself with Twitter, with LinkedIn, with Facebook, with other types of social media and your own website. And we also see that the confidence that that businesses have in their ability to do that is actually fairly low. They're going, well, that's not really our expertise, but oh, hey, we can use an iPhone and shoot a video of ourselves, and it's a reflection on your company. So as we look at that, we go, okay, the master marketers in the market are businesses just like you, media companies, and they kind of have expertise in that area, and they need help as well. So they need help working with you as their customers. So we thought, okay, I wonder what they want. So Jim, you want to take it from there?
You bet. Thanks, Gordon. And I think for many of you, the advice to local marketers is think about how you communicate with your customers. So, we talk about advertising, but really what we're talking about is communication. And it's something all of you need to be doing now and focusing all that much more on how are you communicating with your customers. So we do have some advice for you. When we asked this question of you, businesses like you, the two things that came to the top, aside from, cost issues or payments or financing, the way that you're asking for help is advise us and promote us. And so promotions become really important here. And I'm going to show you why I think that that's an opportunity for you. You're looking for ways to deliver a really good, calm, confident message to your customers. You're looking for ideas to stay relevant right now, even if your business is closed, and there's lots of them. So let me jump over to the next slide and explain to you some of the things that I think you should be doing. When it comes to communicating with your customers, pick up the phone. If possible, if you have phone numbers and you can reach your clients by phone, do it. There's something so powerful about that. So I don't care if you're in real estate, if you're a gym, if you're in some sort of personal services, you're a nonprofit, you're a financial service company. If you have an opportunity to pick up the phone and call somebody, it will make all the difference in the world. Use other things at your disposal. Use email, use social media. Those are also really important communication techniques. Look for advice. Look for people who can help you with the messaging, because the messages may need to change. And in addition to talking to your own customers, consider talking to non-customers. Who are people you don't do business with now that you could? People, maybe their habits have changed. That creates an opportunity for you. You want to make sure you do some of the very simple things, like assure them that you are open. If you are, make sure you're putting that message out, because there's a lot of people might assume that you're not open. If you are, put that message out. Make sure your signage, everything in the windows makes it clear that you're open for business. Think of offers and promotions that really could be helpful to your community at times like this. You want to be real careful with the messaging you put out there. You don't want to feed panic. Don't downplay the concerns that your customers might have. Don't be in a position of providing medical advice to them, but you do want to talk to your customers about what is you have done, for example, to help protect them, to keep them safe. The cleanliness of your operations, what you're doing to help your employees stay very positive. I want you to also think about three other big components. So on the next slide here, as you think about what's happening in your space, a lot of you have shifted already, and I encourage you to think about shifting some of the advertising dollars that you spend now into things that really get customers to connect with you. Promotions is one of them. So rather than just pushing a message out in front of people, think about things that will get people to engage with you. Maybe it's fill out a form. I mean, there's so many different contests and promotions that are out there that are available. You could be doing for your customers, for prospects. I'll just give you a couple of examples. Right now, so many people are at home with their kids looking for creative things to do, how to occupy them. They can't be, on their computer, doing educational things 24/7. What are other things you can do for them? Can you host a contest? It could be a picture contest. It could be any number of things. Best creative ideas to occupy children 5 and under. Who knows? Come up with something that's going to engage people, that they can fill out a form and connect with you to enter a contest. And if we look at the next slide, I just want to focus your attention on why these promotions are so important. These are opportunities. They're short-lived, okay, to get people to act now. And I think that's the most important thing for you, is to make sure you're not waiting. Don't hold off. Do the things you can do now to connect with people. This is a great opportunity for you to actually grow your share when your other competitors might be pulling back. So I guess my advice to you also is consider your competition. If they're aggressively promoting and advertising, they're communicating with their customers, and you're not, you're going to lose share. Now, if they're not, that's an opportunity for you to grow your share. That's a huge opportunity. Keeping in mind that you may have some new competitors who are emerging because they're adjusting to new market conditions. You might have somebody who was never in the same business as you, and suddenly you find they're serving your customers. So first, competition. Think about that. And on the next slide, you'll see this. Next is, what are your customers doing, right? Has the world changed for them, all right? Is there something that you could be doing for them differently? So let me give you an example. Work from home. I gave you that photo contest. Tips on entertaining kids. Tweeting on why you should receive something. Get your customers to tweet to you. Here's why you should deliver X, Y, and Z to our home. Register when we do open to get a 50% off coupon. We'll come to you. We see some car dealerships doing this. How about an oil change in your driveway? Here's a great idea. We saw a pizza restaurant doing this in New York. When somebody calls to order a pizza, hey, would you also like to buy a second pizza that we will send over to the local hospital for all the volunteers and staff over there who don't have a chance to get out and eat? Boy, it's a way to sell twice as many pizzas, right? That's an opportunity. Maybe you discount it to help out. So many opportunities to do this. Let people know you're part of that community, that you're open, and that you want to help them. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Gordon.
Thanks. And Bob, if I don't know whether you have the capability of taking questions and people can type them in, but we'd be happy to take any if you guys have any. We have had lots and lots of questions, and I got to tell you, most of them are around They separate into a very few, I think, because since you're engaged in this webinar, you're already probably thinking ahead. Okay, how do I stay in business? How do I do things? How do I stay active? But you do get some that are just, okay, this isn't going to work. You don't understand my business. You don't. Tell me what your business is. We'll find a way. There is a way that you can market yourself, and even if you're closed and there's no hope of delivery, whatever you have, whatever. There are some things that you can be doing right now to take advantage of when things turn around. There are some things that you can invest in. So we get those questions. The other ones tend to be around, okay, I'm this type of business, what can I do? So they're around ideas. And I think that's where your media partners like Swift come in, is guys, this is their job. They know communications. They know Facebook and Twitter and the websites and mobile media and geofencing and newspaper advertising and readership inside and out. This is their business. They don't feel like they've been challenged too by all of this digital stuff that's out there. They're actually tackling it and mastering it, and they need your help. They're in the same boat. They're a local business as well. Just as you wouldn't want somebody to come to you and say, oh, can I have X, amount of your inventory for free? That's what you should be doing to help us. You shouldn't expect other businesses to do that, like media companies. They're going to have to stay in business, but everybody's got to be flexible. Everybody's got to help each other and get through this. And we're just offering this as what our view as a research company and an analyst of advertising and marketing for small businesses, as the opportunity that we see for you to really, really shine and really, really grow. Bob, I'm going to turn it over or back to you at this point.
Thanks, Gordon. I really appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, there are a couple of features we currently have for our local communities that every operation, and Gordon, if you could advance one slide, there we go. Thank you. For the Summit Daily News, the Post Independent, Sky High, Steamboat, Today, Vale Daily, Aspen Times, all of those communities have a feature saying open today or we're open. And those are free listings for all businesses that are open with your name, address, phone number, and hours. And we're also working on a couple of other features that will be rolled out shortly, which is like a Takeout Tuesday or Delivery Friday, solutions for our teams to be able to provide you at least a way to let the community know you're open. And then to the points that were made by Gordon, Jim, and Corey, there really is critical importance that you're communicating to your customers what you are doing in terms of the care and safety of them and what you're doing to continue to provide services. So please ask your account managers or advisors with your local media properties. They're there to help you. And we were working to try to take questions and having some technical difficulties to do that. But if you want to jot down an email, you can email the questions to marketing, that's marketing at swiftcom.com. And we will get back to you with any questions you have. And Corey, Jim, and Gordon, we really appreciate making the time to share the research and ideas. And I think that the key there is the optimism that we've got to maintain to weather this crisis of the coronavirus. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Bob. And go get them. Great time to craft your marketing messages. Thanks for having us.